Everyone, welcome. I've been asked by many in the past on how we got started, and this is our starting investing in real estate story. So I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible, but just to kind of let you know how we got started, this is how. I'm in the office right now of where I first started renting. And so back in 2007, I started renting a small office space from a very nice couple, and they have a nineplex office building. And I told this owner when I first started moving in here, I said, hey, if there's any chance that I can get some equity in this building and rent or buy my office space, my little tiny 600 square foot office space, I would love to do that. And he's probably thought, oh, that's cute. No. And so as I talked to him, he was very, very nice and said, hey, if you, well, let me back up. I threw it out there to him and said, if you're ever wanting to sell this office building, please let me be a part of that conversation. I'd like to know. And he said, probably not going to happen. We've owned this building for the last 3 generations. And so it was his grandpa that built this place. His dad bought it from his grandpa, and then he was the one taking it over. And so, so this is a pretty old office building. I believe it was built in the 60s, and then the back part was built in the 80s. And so, so it's pretty old. But it's been a good space. They've taken good care of it. When I moved in here, I started painting and redid stuff. I'm currently renovating again and repainting the walls and updating stuff, and so I'll show you that at another time. But why don't I just pause, give you a quick tour of the building. Okay, so that's a tour of the office building, so you kind of have a gist of where I was at. I've got this office in here, and then I've got an office back here with a bathroom, little kitchenette for my secretary. So I started renting here in, I believe it was 2007, and then been a tenant ever since. And so had that conversation with the landlords and the owners. And one day in about 2016, he came to me and said, hey, Eric, I know you've mentioned wanting to buy a building. We've got another building across the street that we're going to be selling at some point. Would you be interested? And I checked it out, thought, that's a lot of money, I can't. There's another one down the road, a little fourplex. And he said, we're going to be selling that one too. You interested? And I said, do I sell my home at that point and upgrade our home, or do I buy this office building? It was only like $125,000 for this fourplex back in 2016, 2017. No, it's 2014. 2014 when he offered that to us, and we decided to sell our other home and buy this, upgrade our home at that time in 2014. That was a good move for us and my family. Wasn't a good time for us to start investing in real estate. And so fast forward, he then said, Eric, we are going to sell this building now, and I'd like you to buy it. He says, you've been a good tenant. He liked me. He was super nice. And he said, my wife and I have talked about it, and we'd like to sell it to you. And I was very honored that he included me in that conversation. And he said, yeah, let's do it, Eric. And I said, okay, well, that's so kind. What's the price? And he told me the price, and I thought, that is way too much money. That's almost double what I spent on my new home that I just upgraded us on. So that was very scary. And so in order to buy this office building, this nineplex office building, I would need to come up with 25% of my own money. And yes, we had that money set aside, but that was like almost all of our savings. And I was really freaking out and thought, we can't afford it. And I said, I appreciate you thinking of me, but go ahead and sell it to someone else. I talked to my wife. There's no way we can do that. And he said, well, Eric, if you want, I'll owner finance you, whatever the bank doesn't give you. And I had no idea what that meant. And I was too prideful and too proud and said, I think we'll just pass. I had no idea what he meant. He was being super kind, offering that to me, and I didn't know what he meant. And so every couple months he'd poke his head into the office, check on me, see how things are going, and said, "You want to buy this office, Eric?" And I said, "I'd love to, but I can't afford it." And he said, "Well, we can work out some kind of terms with owner financing." And I still didn't know what he meant. I thought there's got to be some kind of a catch. I can't afford this building. And so, anyways, let's fast forward. He ended up getting in an accident, unfortunately. And his wife and son came in. And they talked to me, and so he passed away. He had some, I do life insurance, and so we met and we talked. And she said, "You know what, Eric? He really liked you. He really wanted you to buy this building." And I said, "I know." And he was always so kind. He was just such a great guy. And she said, "You know, I've talked to him a lot about it over the years, and he really wanted you to buy this place." And she said, "I'll give you the same deal that he offered you 2 years ago." And I said, that's so sweet, but I don't think I can swing dumping all of my savings account. You know, I said it a little nicer, like, I don't think we can afford it. And so she said, "Well, we can owner finance you." And then I just broke down and said, "Can you explain to me what that means? Like, I don't know what that even means." And so she smiled and said, "Yeah, you get a loan for whatever the bank will give you, and we'll give you a loan for the rest, and we'll come up with like maybe a 15-year term agreement on it, due in 10 years, and charge you like 5% interest." And I thought, okay, let me write this down. So I wrote it all down, and I talked to probably 4 or 5 guys who I knew were way smarter than me. I took them out to lunch, and I bought them lunch, and I showed them the numbers. I said, "Here's the rent. Here's what my mortgage would be. Here's what I'm paying in rent. Would you do this deal if this is presented to you?" Basically, zero money down. She'll give me 25%. The bank will give me 75%. And I come in with $0, but a whole lot of ambition to make sure this place is successful and that my tenants are happy. So I knew a lot of my neighbors in here and know that they've been great. There was one place that wasn't rented at the time, so that was kind of scary to me because that was a $250 a month rental that wasn't being utilized. And so I thought, oh, I've got to make sure that that's filled. And so I talked to the owner. We came up with an agreement. I told her, yes, I'll do that. The price that she gave me seemed fair. I wasn't going to lowball her and ask for way less or ask her to do a bunch of things, because the more I understood what owner financing meant, the more I understood she was really helping me up and helping me get into real estate. And she was happy too, because interest rates back in 2018, the average CD was probably 1.5%, 2% if you're lucky. And so for me to guarantee her getting 5%, she thought that's a win as long as Eric pays. And so we went through a title company and created a contract with her. And so I went to the bank and told them about this contract deal that I'm having with them. I established a relationship with the bank years in advance. I knew these guys, and I would go and do lunches with them and talk to them and say, this is my aspirations, this is my dream to one day do this. And these guys were great. They were at the Bank of Idaho, and they were awesome to deal with. And they believed in me, and they said, Eric, we see the numbers, we see the rents, we look at this, and we think we'd be stupid not to lend to you, because we know you're a good guy, you've got good credit, you've paid your rent, you pay your bills. We will go out on a limb and say, yes, we'll give you the 75%, but we retain first lien holders on that. So what that means is if I don't pay anybody and I just collect all the rents and hoard all the money, and I don't pay my debts to the bank or to Nancy, these guys have first right to claim this office space, this 9-plex, and they keep it, they sell it, and then they end up turning it, paying the loan off that I owe to them. Nancy would be second in line for that. So she's really sticking her neck out for me, believing in me and my wife that we will pay and that we will do this. And so after we prayed about it. We felt good that this would be good. I took other guys out to lunch, just wanted to confirm, am I doing the right thing? Is this a stupid idea? Or would you do this deal? Guys that are way smarter than me and have done real estate and done very well and are successful. And so my wife and I, we were able to get into this office building with zero money down because we treated them well, and we treat our tenants well. And I believe that goes a long way just in and of itself. My office space is one of the smallest office spaces in this building, and so my rent is basically rent-free now at this point. I still have New York Life, my entity with that, pay Velasquez Properties. And so when we bought Velasquez, we established Velasquez Properties, and then we got this 9-plex. And so after that, a couple months passed, and then I realized we're making money doing this, and it's not taking a whole lot of effort. We still have our rainy day fund of our money in our savings account that if rent doesn't get paid, we have a backup. That's why it was so comforting knowing that, okay, if something happens here, if there's something that breaks, we've got extra cash to take care of those things. And I'll tell you real quick, they told me make sure that that roof is getting money set aside, because that's a 25-year roof on that. And this is a really cool story. It's a 25-year-old roof, I think it was April. And so we bought this in January 2018, and I want to say it was close to April when we had this roof get wiped out. And so they said this roof is not cheap. It's a rubber membrane roof, and that's going to set you back. So make sure you're socking away some money in your savings account from the leftover extra rent. And so this is where a really cool miracle happened. Was we knew about 5 years or so we're going to have to replace this roof. They're about $30,000 for this roof. And I know that we would have had to come out of pocket, but we would have been all right. But what happened was, in I think it was April, a hailstorm came, wiped out the roof. My insurance company bought me a new roof for $2,500 was my deductible. I was like, hell yeah, baby. That was so cool. So got a free roof, basically. It was like $2,500. And this building, we've owned it. This will be its 5th year. Yeah, we've owned it now for 5 years. So we're going into our 6th year of owning this office space. We're now starting to update the outside because we went to another office building that was an 8-plex, and then a little home, and then another cabin, another cabin, another cabin, another cabin, another cabin, a little rental. So anyways, I'll go more into those in another video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to watch any of the other videos that I'll be talking about with creative financing, other ideas using home equity lines, using an MD fund, lots of other ideas. Hard money lenders, we'll talk about a lot of it. I do want to start making more of these. Thanks for watching, and make sure to leave a comment on ways you've gotten started, and any other things that you would like to hear a video on. Thanks, guys. Bye.